Good morning and a very warm welcome to the Carlton Cornwall Club in Auckland for day 2 of finals of these Summerset national singles and pairs. And today it is men's pairs action. We will be crowning a champion this afternoon after Nicole Toomey of the Victoria Club took out the women's singles yesterday. Today it is the turn of the men's pairs. 4 quarterfinals have just got underway, and the game we are broadcasting for you is between Craig Merrilees and Craig Tinker of Southland up against the composite pairing of Lance Pascoe and Jamie Hill. We're reaching the completion of the first end. Brenton Vinisroy alongside Kevin Hicklin. We will be calling this one along with a semi-final at around 11:30 and a final from approximately 2:30 as Lance Pascoe with the drive clears out a few from around the head, but it looks like Merrilees and Craig Tinker claiming the mat and the jack first on the board. Was that 1 or 2 there, Kevin?
It looked like 2. I wasn't 100% sure. I know there were a few down before Lance Pascoe delivered that last bowl with the drive to reduce the count, and we'll see that the board go up in a moment. And it looks like the man on the board is one of the legends of bowls, the great Ivan Marsic, commonly known in the old days of Sports Roundup as the Fishmonger. And Ivan Marsic now living up in Orewa, and he's doing the, looks as though Ivan's going to be the score attendant this morning.
And it looks like it was a 2. So 2 on the first end for the 2 Craigs, Merrilees and Tinker, leaving Lance Pascoe and Jamie Hill. Good start to this end for Jamie Hill.
Jamie Hill, of course, the 39-year-old from Mount Albert, winner already, won 3 New Zealand titles, won New Zealand 4s last year with Gary Lawson, where in fact they defeated the side that Lance Pascoe was in, the Mike Kernahan skip side, on an extra end. And of course he's also been part, up until last year, part of the Blackjack side in the Asia Pacific and multi-nations and Trans-Tasman, and very, very formidable, relaxed draw player. And there you can see the board there clearly. 2 to the Southlanders. Very good combination, this Southland combination. Brenton, Craig Merrilees, the 45-year-old out of the Gore Club. A good bowl from Jamie Hill. He's in fact won 23 Southland titles, has Craig Merrilees. Won a New Zealand mixed pairs and part of the Professional Bowls Association, been part of that, as is his playing partner Craig Tinker, the 37-year-old from the Waikiwi Club down the south. He's won 5 Southland titles, and in fact last year went to the UK and played at Potters in the World Singles, indoor singles. So a very formidable pair up against Lance Pascoe and Jamie Hill, and I think we're going to have a very good quarter-final between these 2 combinations. They change over with definitely more than 3 shots to the Pascoe Hill combination.
Yeah, both of these pairings coming through sections where they had a first round bye in post-section play, so had to win just the 3 post-section matches to get through the quarterfinals, whereas all the other pairings through to the last 8 have won 4. So this is right at the bottom of the quarterfinal draw. We saw some big casualties though yesterday, didn't we? We mentioned a few during the call of the women's singles, but the defending champions Ray Martin and Robbie Bennett went in the round of 16. The 2019 winners Jordan King and Chris Lowe also went at the same stage. Gary Lawson and Andrew Kelly lost. Shannon McElroy and Seamus Curtin, Mike Kernahan and Finbar McGuigan. A lot of those who were expecting to be around here at this stage have fallen short of the quarterfinals as Craig Merrilees gets a bit of fortune running into the short Craig Tinker bowl, and it trails towards the head. Might have cut the count to 2.
Yeah, it was a bit of a train wreck actually yesterday afternoon, Brenton, wasn't it? All the greens around the place, they were falling one by one, both at Howick and at Browns Bay, and there certainly were some casualties that one wouldn't have expected. To be fair, you would have assumed perhaps 2 of those you'd have seen here today in the last 8, but not to be. So, here's a chance for somebody else now, of course, to win a national title, as we saw yesterday with Nicole Toomey being crowned a first-time New Zealand title holder, and we may well see that here today.
Weight looks like it's coming from Miralise. Is that reaching weight this time? Not a full-on drive, but trying to reach the shot bowl if he can, and he does get a piece of the shot bowl. Now, has that spurted it out the side, or is it still in play? Looks like it has. Yep, that's killed at the end, so we will have another go.
Got direct contact with the jack. We were unfortunate because it could have gone in their favour and gone directly back into the ditch. Miralise, of course, also part of the Gore Rams Bowls 3-5 side, as Lance Pascoe part of the Elmwood Saints Bowls 3-5 side. So they're certainly 2 very good. The skips, of course, 2 very, very well accomplished players.
Yeah, it's quite incredible actually how many of the Bowls 3-5 players have been in post-section play and deep in post-section play already at the Summerset Nationals. Obviously, Mandy Boyd, Nicole Toomey, the finalists in the women's singles, are both players who play Bowls 3-5. Nicole Toomey with the champion Stokes Valley Vipers, and then you got Mandy Boyd playing with the Elmwood Park Saints. Today, in the men's pairs quarter-final, obviously Lance Pascoe, Craig Miralise, both Bowls 3-5 players, as you mentioned. Then you've also got Aidan Takarua, who's the skip of the Point Chevrolet Pirates. He's in men's quarter-final action with Richard Hocking. They're playing John Carruthers and Mike Bradshaw, 2 players who both represented the Royal Oak Rockets in Bowls 3-5. So a lot of connections there to Bowls 3-5 on Sky Sport. And it is showing that really that competition is getting more and more like the best of the best taking part.
And we're certainly seeing that. Evidence both in the men and the women, both the finalists, of course, yesterday, as you said, both part of the Bowls 3-5 format. But today we've got absolutely perfect conditions, haven't we, Brendan, here at Carlton Cornwall? It's it's not a breath of wind, sun just pouring in, and couldn't have better conditions for today's play.
Oh, certainly couldn't. Like you say, there is absolutely no wind. Yesterday we had a bit of a light zephyr, especially coming in the afternoon to cool off the players. The flag is not moving.
There's nothing
here today at Carlton Cornwall. It is going to be an absolute scorcher.
I'm looking across that tree line there, and there's just absolutely no movement whatsoever in this beautiful park-like surroundings here. So we're in for a real warm one today, that's for sure.
As we are in the replayed second end of 18 men's pairs quarter-final between the 2 Craigs, Miralise and Tinker, up against Lance Pascoe and Jamie Hill, letting you know the other quarter-finals, which I'll endeavour to keep you up to date with during this encounter that we are televising for you. As I mentioned, it's Aidan Takarua and Richard Hocking up against John Carruthers and Mike Bradshaw. Jerry Boucher and Hamish Cape up against Nicholas Tomset and Dan Dickerson. And then Marshall Stoddard and Tom Taiaroa up against Pat Houlihan and Howard O'Donnell, the quarter-finalists in the men's pairs.
Just to keep you up to date, Brendan, there is a Taranaki flavour here today. Hamish Cape here plays out of the Locato Club, just around the coast.
That's good. That's good. There's still a Taranaki. It'd be a bit concerning if there wasn't Taranaki influence in this last 8. Besides, of course, in the commentary booth here. It looks like we're going to see a drive again from Miralise. Although I have found sometimes he looks like he's winding up and then he just does the draw. He's fooled me several times in Bowls 3-5. Looks like he's winding up and he's done exactly that. This time, certainly just going with the draw. Was holding
that
shot.
Swing, doesn't it? He gives that run shot swing on his delivery.
And it does the wind up before he bowls. His delivery style on the mat. That's Pascoe. Straight to work. Originally out of the West Coast, Lance Pascoe. Recently resided in Canterbury and now moving to Wellington. He's seen the light.
Well, part of the Pascoe family they used to rule bowls on the West Coast. In fact, one particular year in the semi-finals of the National Fours in Christchurch. There was an all Pasco side that played and got beaten in the semi-final by the Scots, who had Jim Scott and Terry Scott, Sean Scott, and Sean O'Driscoll, who was a brother-in-law. So there was virtually two full family teams playing one another. And Lancers won around about 25 West Coast titles and a number of Canterbury titles. And believe it or not, he has played in 6 New Zealand semi-finals. And of course, last year played in the final of the Fours with Mike Kernan, who has just arrived here a few moments ago, and went down to Gary Lawson on an extra end at Mount Maunganui.
Yeah, we might have to call Mike Kernan into the commentary booth at some stage today. No women's peers section play taking place here, rather surprisingly. So just the one green of 3 in use for these Summerset Nationals today, and it is all about the men's peers, starting with the quarterfinals this morning to be followed with the semi-finals, and then of course the title match itself from around 2:30 this afternoon. So stay with us here on Sky Sport next.
So Lance Pascoe going back to the mat, holding the shot on this, the second end of 18, with no time limit in this quarterfinal. Green again today, running around about the 17 mark, and you can see the big arc that the bowls are taking, getting back to that centre line. Certainly the greens running favourably for the players, that's for sure. There's no
looks like a one picked up there by Pascoe and Hill. So they're on the board on that replayed second end after it was killed first time round. So Craig Merrilees and Craig Tinkett leading Lance Pascoe and Jamie Hill. In fact, it looks like it's a 2 that they've given to Pascoe and Hill. No, it is a 1. just to fool us, to keep us guessing. Confirmed, 2-1. Craig Merrilees and Craig Tinker leading Lance Pascoe and Jamie Hill after 2 of the 18 ends, now playing the third.
Very quick on the mat, both of these players, Brenton. There's no sort of mucking around, is there? They're pretty quickly into their work as we see this first bowl of Craig Tinker's breaking down towards the centre line to the jack, and is going to get a touch on the jack and sits right alongside it.
Yeah, even though we've replayed an end already, we're just as far through as the other matches on the rinks alongside, or just completed 2 ends as well. So all the players, don't waste much time on the mat. Great start for Craig Tinker. And Jamie Hill's just going to come around the back of the head, and a handy home if they're able to move the jack.
We can certainly see that natural large arc that's there on the draw, Brenton, isn't it? It's always good to see, because it's always going to give you a good game, that's for sure. We see another good bowl from Craig Tinker, just sits alongside jack level.
So you're saying that green running a similar speed as yesterday morning, around 17 seconds. Expect that to increase though with how hot it is today?
Yeah, absolutely. If there's no cloud cover, I'm picking that they'll get another couple of seconds out of us. You watch Jamie Hill getting down towards the jack on the draw, gets a touch on the jack, moves it back to where his first bowl was, sits alongside it.
Yeah, shows how handy that home was that he found with his first bowl, because he's managed to bring the jack right back to it. So after a great start from Craig Tinker, Jamie Hill has stolen it back, but Tinker looking to reply off the front for this Southland pairing. He's going to find a similar home to his first couple.
Yeah, I'm picking that we'll more than likely get it. I reckon a second and a half of speed out of the green today, because we've got real sun today, isn't it? It's certainly pounding down already here. So, and with the people walking up and down on the rinks and that as well, I'm sure this Manutato green will do good. Just get a wee bit more pace in it throughout the day.
So now the turn of the skips. Lance Pascoe and Craig Merrilees. Be familiar with each other from Bowls 3-5 on Sky Sport. Pascoe represented the Elmwood Park Saints. Another good bowl from him. Merrilees with the Gore Rams.
Well, we're certainly going to see, not sure what weight they're going to play, but certainly be looking for jack movement. Merrilees poised on the mat, and it certainly looks as though it's playing with reaching weight through the bowls on that narrower line to try and get down to the jack, but that's going to be well under the centre line. He'll be disappointed with that. I'm picking, we'll see now, Lance Pascoe, he'll be happy holding 3 with this bowl. I'm sure he'll try and get now between the 2 metre mark and the ditch just to give some back cover, holding 3 shots.
Yeah, because if Merrilees does want to play that attacking shot, he can see the jack.
But no, Pascoe in fact has followed the Craig Merrilees line, under the head.
Didn't quite have the weight right either. Pretty much finished jack level.
So on the backhand is Craig Merrilees. He's certainly got
better line this time.
A wider draw with this particular bowl. Looks as though he's playing with that reaching weight, yard of weight. Just going to go by down to, and
it's pretty much where Lance Pascoe probably wanted his with his previous bowl.
Yeah, because I just see Jamie Hill and Lance Pascoe having a bit of a chat then, and I see the rag wave go out of ideally where we'd like to see it, and that looks to be a metre over the head, really where that Craig Merrilees bowl went. I think Craig Merrilees is, with that second bowl, has really dictated what weight he's going to now play to try and get reduction on the head. So it's a bit of a game of chess here to make sure that any advantage which Merrilees gets is minimised, but that's not going to happen. Lance Pascoe will be disappointed with that. All that's doing, that short bowl, is just giving Craig Merrilees a guide in towards the head now with a wee bit more weight under those short bowls, can reach down to the jack.
Yeah, waved his hands in frustration, didn't he, Lance Pascoe? Not what he was after at all. And now here comes the drive from Merrilees. Well, straight away doesn't like it. I think he's going to be far too narrow playing on that backhand. And that should be 3 to Pascoe and Hill. So they take the lead after 3 now of the 18 ends. It is Lance Pascoe and Jamie Hill leading Craig Merrilees and Craig Tinker 4-2.
I think the Pascoe-Hill combination would just give a bit of a sigh of relief after that hit, because one would have thought that that jack may well have moved and no back bowls in there for the Hill-Pascoe combination, but not to be. So a very tidy 3. All started, of course, by that wonderful bowl that Jamie Hill played when he moved the jack and moved it back to where his first bowl had gone, just a couple of feet in behind the head. The first bowler, Jamie Hills, is going to be jack level, out a metre away. Let's see clearly that with the camera and the monitor, the camera, you can see clearly on that centre line. And Craig Tinkler now just going to drop under the centre line and go to that jack level position as well. Jamie Hill, in fact, started playing bowls at about a 13-year-old at the now no longer operating Okahu Bay Club down in the eastern suburbs of Auckland, and along with Richard Gervin, Rowan Brassey, the late Nick Unkovich. It was certainly a bit of a who's who, and that's where Jamie Hill started his bowling career.
Oh, it's a great apprenticeship, isn't it, under some of those names to start playing the game. A bit late starting though, if you compare to his nephew Liam, who's already skipping in the men's pairs. Yes. Made the last 32 of post section with his granddad Neville, Jamie's father.
Great to see. We were there on TV1 News last night. The Hill story.
Yeah, what a talent he is, Liam Hill. If he wants to continue playing this game, he's got a huge future.
He certainly has. And it's interesting looking at this head to date, Brenton. Not one of the bowls. This bowl's going to finish on the, let's say, the right side of the draw line and then that centre line, but all the others have just sort of skipped a wee bit, and just wonder whether that hand coming up to up towards the bush end or the park end here at Carlton Corner just have a wider draw line than what the other it were going the other way, the other backhand side going down towards the clubhouse, because 5 of those bowls have all disappeared under the centre line, and on be the Southland side, I'd say holding 1 at this point as the skips change over.
Yeah, it certainly looks like haven't quite found the line playing this way, away from the clubhouse. You can see that they're playing from. Now, turn to the skips. Lance Pascoe first. Well, that looks a similar line to be coming under the head as well, but it might just be enough force shot. No, it's not going to hold up. Runs through the head.
Halfway down the green, there's like a brownie patch, and the line seems to be about halfway through that brownie patch. Anything underneath that seems to be under the line. This bowl is just through that. You can see the dark patch there, and it's certainly a better line into the jack.
Doesn't come back though as much, it seems, from when it's. Yeah, there's a very tight corridor, I think, on that backhand side.
I think we'll see Pascoe may well be forced to. He's going to play the draw, but actually try and play it under the head on the backhand to sit on what is obviously the shot bowler Craig Tinkers. And it's going to be too far under the line, but you can see what Lance Pascoe's trying to do. He can't draw to the outside of the jack because of the bowls in front. So just trying to get under the line by a fraction to sit on the Craig Tinker bowl.
He just didn't have the right weight with that attempt, Pascoe. Merrilees. It's a long look at this one. Seemed to have a better line, but a lot more weight this time.
A lot more weight.
Not what he was after.
Just wonder whether Pascoe might try and play this with more weight on a tighter line to get under the head. He's on a better line.
Yeah, this is in the area. If it holds up, gets a touch on the jack, and that should be shot.
Yes, it is shot.
Well played by Lance Pascoe. After the two Craigs, Merrilees and Tinker were holding. Lance Pascoe grabs the shot back. Now Merrilees with the final say on this fourth end.
He's on a better line too. Is it going to sit on the bowl of Lance Pascoe's?
Oh, fine effort that was from Craig Merrilees. Very unfortunate not to land on that Pascoe shot bowl. So it's another for the Pascoe Hill combination. 5-2 they now lead after 4 of the 18 ends in this men's pairs quarterfinal. I think I might make my way around the boards, Kevin, so we can bring you up to date with the 3 other quarterfinals which are ongoing here at Carlton Cornwall.
So Brenton will just leave for a moment while he ducks out and gets those other scoreboards. So the jack's been delivered by Jamie Hill in the teal top sunglasses, the tall 39-year-old greenkeeper. It's on a good line, this first bowl. Just going to question, is the weight going to get all the way down to the jack? No, it's not. It's a metre lower the jack. Certainly had a perfect line. And Craig Tinker of the Waikiwi Club in Southland. And he'll try and come past that Jamie Hill bowl. And he's going to do just that on the draw. Come back now towards the centre line. sits jack level, and that will be shot. Leading 5-2 is the Pascoe Hill combination after 4 of the 18 ends. I don't think Jamie Hill appears to like that one much, but to me it looks on a better line. How far is that going to come back now towards the centre line? It's breaking in towards the head now. It's going to get cleanly under the bowl. Yes, it is, and sits right on the centre line, just inches in behind the jack. Craig Tinker following the Jamie Hill bowl, trying to get that same line between the two bowls to get down to where Jamie Hill has drawn the shot. Craig Tinker just going to be a bowl wider and will in fact run into his own bowl short of the head. Jamie Hill now will try to get another bowl through that port. Exceptionally good lead is Jamie Hill. This too's on a good line as well as it breaks in towards the head. Gets inside this. He's going to draw another one right to the jack. Well played by Jamie Hill. That's 2 shots and 2 superbly drawn shots. I'm sure Craig Tinker looks as though he might be playing with weight, and he is playing with weight to try and get to the Jamie Hill bowls. In fact, careered into the front bowls, got one of his own, and leaves, as the skips change over, leaves the Hill combination, Pascoe combination, holding 2 shots. So the green around about 17 seconds, and Lance Pascoe from the Elmwood Park Club in Christchurch will be the first to play his bowl on this, the 5th of the 18 ends, after 2 superbly drawn bowls by Jamie Hill to build the head up for the composite side. On the forehand is Lance Pascoe playing down towards the clubhouse. No breeze, no wind at all, perfect conditions. This looks to be on a fairly good line as well. This bowl of Lance Pascoe's is going to sit on the Jamie Hill counting bowl. Yes, it does. So pressure really on early on this head on the Southland Pier. 2 great bowls there from Jamie Hill, Brenton, to
yeah, it certainly were, and no surprise here. We're going to see a drive from Craig Merrilees, and straight away, well under the head. He knew immediately that there was nowhere near the line necessary. Get another opportunity, but having just been around the other men's pairs quarterfinal boards, I can let you know that John Carruthers and Mike Bradshaw of Royal Oak are leading Aidan Takarua and Richard Hocking 6-2 after 4 ends. Nicholas Tomset and Dan Dickerson trailing 5-4 after 3 against Jerry Belcher and Hamish Kape. And we also have Pat Houlihan and Howard O'Donnell leading Marshall Stoddart and Tom Taiaroa 3-2 after 3.
Well, that drive then you'd see on the screen of Craig Merrilees, in fact, got their outside bowls and moved them, the jack, in fact, further into the nest of the Pascoe Hill team, and now leaves them holding 4 shots. And the Merrilees combination, only 1 bowl now left on the rink, so big pressure here.
Yeah, what do you do if you're Pascoe? Do you look to even get rid of that bowl?
Well, he just try and draw another one, you know, at 5-2, holding 4. He's got, you know, Merrilees really has to try to get second shot. He'll be disappointed, though, will Lance Pascoe, if he doesn't add to the count as it arcs towards their head now. How far is it going to go by? It fell out, that bowl. Be interesting.
Might just be enough.
Just might be in that bowl. So here now is Craig Merrilees. Is a big bowl.
Needs something here. Again, the wind-up is just a full yet. Going with the draw, which is the smarter play. Just needs something to cut out at least one of those bowls. And he's in the area. Is he going to find the gap, though? He is going to find the gap, but it'll cut out. Oh, will it cut out anything? Maybe it cuts out 1. You think it's certainly 4. Yeah, 4 signalled by Jamie Hill. So another big end for the Pascoe Hill combination. 9 2. They now lead Craig Merrilies and Craig Tinker after 5 of the 18 ends in this men's pairs quarterfinal here at Carlton Cornwall in Auckland. Beautiful weather.
Well, that, of course, was all really set up by the great start that Jamie Hill gave on that head, with drawing those 2 bowls really close, and Merrilies and co not able to drive their way out of trouble. Unfortunate with Craig Merrilies. It was a great attempt with his last bowl to try and get the second shot. He only just really missed sitting on one of those bowls to reduce the count. And another very good opening bowl by Jamie Hill, sitting right alongside the jack on this, the 6 of 18 ends.
Pascoe and Hill beating Gary Banks and Trevor Forward 21-7 in their round of 16 match here at Carlton Cornwall. Banks and Forward, who had in the round previous knocked out Shannon McElroy and Seamus Curtin, weren't able to repeat their giant killing efforts though in the round of 16. Pascoe and Hill convincing winners, as were Merrilies and Tinker in their round of 16 game at Browns Bay.
Well, the way how Jamie Hill has commenced this game, Brenton, is certainly a great confidence booster for the Lance Pascoe for the combination, because he started to get really into his work now, and he's getting bowls around the head, bowl after bowl after bowl. And if you can get that consistency within a metre consistently around the jack area, you're certainly going to build the head up nicely for your skip at the changeover. And we'll see here again holding the shot as we watch this last bowl of Jamie Hill's now just breaking in towards the head, going to virtually sit on top of what is his first bowl. A good bowl, but it does actually give an opportunity, of course, for the opposing side to play up and sit on those bowls, which is exactly what Craig Tinker is endeavouring to try and do. It is going to go past, but it's over the head, so therefore it does give Craig Merrilies an opportunity to play that narrower line with a yard of weight to try and get that jack movement back to the Craig Tinker bowl, sitting about 1.5 metres behind the head. But you're right, Brendan, absolutely perfect conditions, isn't it? Couldn't get, consider where we were 2 days ago.
Yes, certainly. And rain was ever present. Very heavy downpours throughout the Auckland and North Harbour centres. Some of the greens were flooded. They had the mops out there trying to get all the surface water off greens just so play could be restarted. But the last 2 days have been glorious, and we hope that continues for the remainder of the week.
So Pascoe going for that cover that we spoke about, because jack movement is what Craig Merrilies will certainly be looking at, and out of his hand it looked to be quicker than what it, and it has got that more than reaching weight, but is it going to come back all the way? No, it's not. It's just going to slide by 1.5 metres, but that's the weight that he wants to play, just to alter that line fractionally.
Section play starting in the women's pairs today as well. And we'll start in the men's singles tomorrow, and all culminating with the women's pairs and men's singles finals on Friday here at Carlton Cornwall.
Yeah, bowl there of Lance Pascoe short of the head. It just changes that line now, that vision line into the... So really he has to play with more weight through that port now to reach the jack. Certainly got to reach it with at least another couple of feet of weight, and you can see that line has been tightened up considerably.
Too much though, I think.
Just knocks
almost got a good promotion, but instead it promotes a Pascoe Hill bowl further into the head. So you think they're holding 3 there, Pascoe and Hill?
I know it's only 6 ends, well, we're just about 6 ends gone, but this is a big end for Merrilies and Tinker, because they drop a number here. It certainly puts them in a really, really tough position going for the remaining ends, and Lance Pascoe quite content with 3 on the head. It's going to go right back to the furthest most point, the backest bowl, because Merrilees has to reduce or get the jack.
Yeah, going with that weighted bowl, not a full-on drive. Looks like he's going to be under the head and he's going to miss everything. So it hasn't been able to execute with those weighted bowls so far, Craig Merrilees. And it's another big end for Pascoe and Hill, as they are the first to double digits. Well, wait confirmation that it was 3. Certainly looked like 3 from our camera angle, and confirmed on the board. So 12-2 it is. Now, Lance Pascoe and Jamie Hill leading Craig Merrilees and Craig Tinker a third of the way through this men's pairs quarter-final. 6 of the 18 ends completed. Now, playing the 7th. I know a lot of bowlers like to split their games or coaches into thirds when you're playing 18
Correct.
ends.
Correct.
And this has been quite a dominant end for Pascoe and Hill. Segment rather. After dropping a 2 on the first, they've scored 12 on the next 5.
Well, it was interesting that last end, really, with that last bowl as well of Craig Merrilees. I was surprised that he actually changed his hand, because he played 2 bowls down to get that swing to the jack, and then he changed his hand to play the more direct line, but really had to play under the head. So the margin of error was it was a different sort of shot altogether. And now the big thing for Jamie Hill and Lance Pascoe, as you and I have spoken about before, Brenda, is you just got to make sure now between ends 6 and 12 that you hold the game. A 1 is fine, but you don't get yourself in a position where you fall off the pace and you start dropping a 3 or a 4 or whatever. And then, of course, you move to those last 12 to 18 ends when the team that's behind really have to try and chase and score shots. So 2 experienced players, of course, Lance Pascoe and Jamie Hill, and they'll just be endeavouring to do very much the same, especially Jamie Hill off the front. That's the key, as we see this bowler Craig Tinker's come in behind and sit in behind right on the on the centre line. That'll be shot.
Yeah, Craig Tinker hasn't been too far away. Jamie Hill has certainly got the edge of the lead battle at the moment, but Craig Tinker has certainly had his moments, but has not quite been able to get the support from the back end with Craig Merrilees.
Better bowl here from Jamie Hill. That shot.
Yeah, every time Craig Tinker has produced a good bowl that's maybe grabbed the shot, Jamie Hill snatches it straight back.
Yeah, and the great thing about Jamie Hill is he's such a relaxed player, and he's a player that really he enjoys drawing shots and taking. He's not a shortcut player. You don't see him trying to play under the line. He's just a natural draw player, and he's very good at it. And he's so relaxed, and you only got to watch his delivery is one of the best deliveries going around. It never changes. There's no wobble. There's no bump. There's nothing. Everything comes out of his hands smoothly, and it just does make such a big difference. And as we spoke about yesterday, Brendan, what Jamie Hill is doing right now, he's bringing to the game a very high percentage of effective bowls, which, 6 bowls each, and if you're getting 4 out of your 6 bowls as being, let's say, effective bowls, you're going to be in a pretty good position.
Yeah, and often Lance Pascoe has had the armchair ride through these first 6 ends of play, now in the 7th. As Craig Merrilees isn't starting this changeover multiple shots down as he has been in previous ends. They've dropped 7 shots over the last couple of ends, have 2 Craigs, Merrilees and Tinker.
Here.
And that's a great bowl, showing what he is capable of. Should be enough for the shot, obviously. Yep, Jamie Hill helping us out there. He points his finger down, indicating that they are down on the head to his skip, Lance Pascoe. So a well-executed bowl from Craig Merrilees. He needs that as well, I think, just to keep himself going.
Lance Pascoe on the back end, just trying to reach or rest the shot bowl, turn it over the head. We might see Merrilees now change his hand, and he is going to the forehand to try and sit on the Jamie Hill bowl, turn it over once, could make 2 or 3 shots out of it. It's going to be on the wide side. Comes past that, able to come past that front bowl, just whisk around the outside of it and turn the Jamie Hill bowl over. He could certainly at least make 2, possibly 3. I'm sure we'll see now Lance Pascoe on his backhand just try and play that reaching bowl again, just to try and turn the Craig Merrilies bowl, turn it over through the head. And that's on the wide side for that particular shot.
Yeah, he thought, I think, coming out of the hand that it was all right, but then he realised halfway down that was not going to come back to the target. So Merrilies and Tinker should win their second end of this contest here. Now, can Merrilies really capitalise and turn a 1 into a 2 or a 3? He's not far away here. Can he, on that Jamie Hill bowl, and turn it out of the head? Unfortunately, he wasn't able to turn it out of the head, but what a bowl that was from Merrilies. A toucher, crashed into that Hill bowl, and then fell into the jack. So 2 to Craig Merrilies and Craig Tinker. 12-4 it is now. Lance Pascoe and Jamie Hill leading Craig Merrilies and Craig Tinker 12-4 after 7 of the 18 ends.
Now, the big thing there for Craig Merrilies as well, Brendan, he drew 2 touches on that end with his 3 bowls and a change of hands. So he drew the first one on the backhand, drew the toucher, then he went to the forehand, played that shot around the front bowl, drew a toucher again. So that's a big confidence booster for himself, knowing, well, okay, look, just I can do this. And they were 2 superbly drawn bowls, and now he just needs Craig Tinker to try and give him that chance to build on the head.
And he knows as well that he will now say, oh, first 6 ends, they're gone. Now let's start again. And what a good start to the next set of 6 that was for Craig Merrilies. First little third of the game didn't go his way, but a good start to the second third. 2 very good draw bowls. As Kevin mentioned, 1 on the backhand, 1 on the forehand.
So coming up short. It's interesting coming this way that the leads are actually playing on different hands. Jamie Hill will come back to the centre line, about a metre behind.
I don't think Jamie Hill, the second time playing this way, liked what was happening with his gut bowls all coming past the centre line, coming under the head. So he's decided, don't like their backhand side playing this way. We're going to play on the forehand. But Tinker has persisted, and he's got a good result here.
Yeah, you're right, Ben. I think that from Jamie Hill's point of view, he's playing backhand, forehand, just keeping on that same line on the green, because we did see in that last end this way that's certainly a difference. As Jamie Hill now is just going to run into his own front bowl, and as the skips change over, it'll be 1 to the Tinker Merrilies side.
Yeah, I think Jamie Hill there playing with it. Bit of extra weight trying to sit on the shot bowl, but just got a bit under the line. Got a touch on one of the short Tinker bowls.
So as per yesterday, of course, we'll have quarterfinals this morning, then followed around about 11:30 with the semi-final, and then around 2:30 we'll have the final of the Summerset men's pairs. Have the final here. We're bringing all of those 3 games, that action right throughout the day.
Here on Sky Sport Next. I hope you are enjoying our coverage wherever you may be. Of course, if you're in the Auckland area, come down to Carlton, Cornwall. Beautiful conditions, great venue. We don't have the women's pairs section play here, so even if you wanted a bit of a roll-up, I'm sure that could be agreed upon.
Well, I'm sure there was someone here just a few moments ago, just to look out this window, there was someone having a bit of a roll-up out there. But there's plenty of parking here, big car park area at the side.
And the catering,
and
first
great
class.
Catering, and as Lance Pascoe, in fact, got onto one of this Merrill's bowls and rolled that towards the head. It'll be now holding 2 shots. Is the Merrill's Tinker combination.
How quickly things can turn, isn't it?
Certainly can.
10-shot lead a couple of ends ago. Now a chance for Merrill's and Tinker to pick up another multiple on this end.
Well, is it 3, Brenton?
I think it's just 2. It could be 3 though. Obviously, camera angle is never completely telling the true story with our cameras placed at the back of the green.
Now you see what we were talking about, Brenton. There's definitely that. It's a different draw there, isn't it? You can see that bowl of Lance Pascoe's is on that natural arc, but it just didn't have although he had played with weight, just didn't come back, did it? Now here's a big chance as well for Merrill's, because if he was to turn that bowl out of the head, he could make 5 of this.
He executed very well in the previous end, Craig Merrill's. Great draw play. Can he capitalise here?
Well, he doesn't want this.
No, this hasn't worked well. In the end, it's not been the worst case result, but that's not what he wanted. Didn't want to get the piece of the jack.
No.
And Jamie Hill indicating that they are still 2 down, so the result has actually stayed the same through a bit of fortune, really, that the jack ricocheted off a few bowls and then made its way that way.
Certainly wasn't the weight. It was the shot to play, but not the weight to play it. And you can see that Craig Merrill's was endeavouring to try and get to the charcoaly coloured bowl to turn it out of the head and make 5 of it, but it was a wee bit offline and got the jack, and it bobbled around a wee bit and bobbled in the right places in the finish. It didn't look like it at one stage, but
I'll be happy that he does have some bowls down there. And it's not just all the charcoal bowls of Pascoe and Hill. So the jack was below the previous shot. So having to play
with weight,
and he's playing with lots of it. He's trying to find the jack here.
Got them both out.
Well, he got both shot bowls out.
On the drive.
Well executed there by Pascoe. So obviously could see that both could go after a bit of advice from Jamie Hill, and after being 2 down for much of the head, they grab the shot. In fact, they grab 2.
2 shots, yes.
2, so 14-4, restoring that 10-shot advantage.
There's a big end, as it turned out, Brenton, actually, because that could have been
4-shot swing.
Absolutely, yeah.
And at one stage, we thought maybe Merrill's and Tinker could have come out with it with 4 or 5.
Absolutely. Jamie Hill's delivered the jack and delivered it dead outside the confines of the rink, so it'll come back now. Matt's been moved up the green slightly by Craig Tinker.
Here's Merrill's and Tinker after picking up a 2 on the 7th end, then holding a couple on the 8th. Craig Merrill's had an opportunity to try and knock out the closest Pascoe Hill bowl and maybe make it 4. And then he moved the jack, moved it back to his own bowls, but then Lance Pascoe with a great drive shot to get rid of the 2 Merrill's Tinker bowls and turn it around in their favour.
Well, those are the big conversion shots, Brenton, that, the old days, the old skips, or Nikakovic, those sorts of guys that always say, that you need to be able to play 4 or 5 big conversion shots during a game, and just then we saw that 4-shot turnaround. You just start to score and you get dented, and Jamie Hill has now responded by drawing his first bowl. You'll see just alongside the jack, and the second bowl is going to come right towards the 2 metre mark, down towards the centre line, already giving that back cover to the Hill Pascoe side. So lucky to get the 2 insofar as when the jack moved, but a great bowl played by Lance Pascoe, the drive to dislodge those bowls. So we might see change of hand? Yes, we are. The Lance Pascoe indicating to Jamie Hill, no sense in getting tangled up in that last bowl, so let's change to the forehand side and to draw down to the head, and he's doing just that again as Jamie Hill.
Pascoe just trying to get it to slow down. Of course, that never works.
No, it doesn't.
And got some movement on the jack there, Jamie Hill, so right on target. You still think they're holding 2, maybe even 3.
But it did open the distance up for the draw shot, whereas before it was literally sitting right alongside the jack. But this bowl of Craig Tinker's
not far away.
So he responded pretty quickly.
Just slides past. Very unfortunate, Craig Tinker. If he got that solid, that would have certainly grabbed it back for the Southlanders. But as it currently stands, you'd think that possibly holding 3 here, Pascoe and Hill.
Looks like it the way how they're sitting.
Plenty of room though for the skips.
A lot of room.
Change that scenario. Pascoe first to play on this, the 9th of 18 ends. We approach the halfway stage of this men's pairs quarterfinal. After this end, I'll make my way back out around the boards and bring us up to date with the other 3 quarterfinals taking place.
Lance Pascoe would be disappointed with that coming up short. So Craig Merrilies now played down on his forehand from the Gore Club, the Gore Rams Bowls 3-5 squad. How far is this going to come back? Got to be inside the bowl, and it is. This will be close to shot, I would say, especially if it falls in.
And it does. I think that is shot for Merrilies. Now on Lance Pascoe to try and beat that previous bowl of his opposite.
Definitely wider. Won't be under that line. The draw line, as we saw, is inside the bowl of Craig Tinkers. Finishes jack level. Craig Merrilies playing in the New Zealand PBA shirt, the Professional Bowls Association. And another at good line under the Tinker bowl. Just going to go by, but we certainly had the right line to score.
Jamie Hill just having a little look over the head.
Indication is now that he's going to play with weight to what is the shot bowl.
Yeah, just pointed his toe at it. Hill said, Lance, have a go. Lance Pascoe with the drive, and again, another good conversion shot, as you spoke about, Kevin Hickland, on the previous end from Lance Pascoe. Again, he executes the 1-bowl target, and he got it.
I just put so much pressure back on that man with the bowl in his hand right now, because he's 2-3 down, possibly. A lot of room to draw, as you rightly said, Brendan, but it's the pressure, and it's certainly got a different line with this bowl than his previous 2. And how far is that going to go under the centre line? Got to get under this bowl. If he gets under the bowl, won't make shot of it and falls on top of it. No, he won't.
So now that second bowl of Merrilies may be very important here. Otherwise, they could have been dropping a big number. Oh, do they even know who has shot? 4. Wow. So even that second bowl of Merrilies wasn't able to cut that number. So 4 to Pascoe and Hill. Another big end for this pairing. 18-4 they now lead at the halfway stage after 9 of the 18 ends in this men's pairs quarterfinal. I'll make my way around the boards and leave you in the very safe hands of Kevin Hickland.
Well, we just saw Lance Pascoe with 2 big conversion shots on ends 8 and 9, where he converted 2 down into 2 up to 2 shots, and then the next end, the 9th end, again 1 down on the head, and drove and dislodged what was the Craig Tinker bowl, and Craig Merrilies couldn't respond on the draw. And a 4 was scored by the Pascoe combination. So This combination is going very, very well indeed. And we've got Jamie Hill playing very, very well off the front on the draw, and then Lance Pascoe playing those conversion shots. There's 2 big conversion shots, and of course you can only play those conversion shots if you've actually got the bowls in and around the head. So here we see now Jamie Hill with his first bowl on this, the 10th end, finishing jack level, sitting about half a metre away from the jack. Craig Tinker with the response. Craig Tinker from the Waikawi Club in the Southland area. Comes up short. I see the Brains Trust big conversation going on out there. Gary Lawson, Mike Kernan, Peter Ballas, all part of the New Zealand team, of course, squad. Big conflap. I'm sure Gary Lawson and Mike Kernan would prefer to be out here playing, actually, but not to be. They were defeated yesterday as we watched Craig Tinker now on his backhand, trailing 18-4 in this 18 end, and that's going to drag badly under that centre line. And as Brenton and I had spoken about earlier, on this particular hand going up towards the park area or the bush area here at Carlton Cornwall, it's certainly a different line, and if you don't get it right you'll just disappear under that centre line. It's certainly a different line to going down towards the clubhouse and see all the spectators in there with their coffees, early morning coffees, watching these men's quarterfinals. We followed at 11:30 by the semi-final, and then of course at 2:30 this afternoon we'll have the final of the Summerset men's pairs here at the National Championships in Auckland. And as the skips change over, it's the Jamie Hill Lance Pascoe side holding 2 shots, and Brendan's just come back from around the greens, so he can update you on those other 3 quarterfinals.
Yeah, indeed. The game at the top of the draw between Aidan Takarua, Richard Hocking up against John Carruthers and Mike Bradshaw. It's Carruthers and Bradshaw leading 7-6 after 7. Also after 7 ends, it is Jerry Boucher and Hamish Kape who are leading Nicholas Tomset and Dan Dickerson 9-5. And then the 4th and final quarter-final, it is Pat Houlihan and Howard O'Donnell who are leading Marshall Stoddart and Tom Taiaroa 12-4, also after 7 ends. So we are absolutely racing through this quarter-final compared to the others. We've had a couple of replayed ends as well, but we've also had one here. So it just shows how quickly these 4 gentlemen do play. There's no mucking around on the mat for these 4.
Yeah, well, we indicated early on in the game, didn't we, Brenton, that we knew that these guys, just get on and do the job, and they're literally running 2 heads or 2 ends in front of the rest of the field, and there's been a kill in there as well. So they're running through the ends. As Lance Pascoe holding a couple of shots, he's on that line. How far is it going to come back from there? It's under arc back, but you see again, it's what would be termed, it's a bit of a lazy draw out there at the finish. It's not getting that finishing arc, which we certainly get the other way. But again, 3 shots. Murley's really to have any chance now in this game as we play N10. He's got a better line here though. He's got to start to pull back this deficit. This is a better bowl here from Craig Merrill's.
Has it got the weight?
Needs a couple of more rolls. No, it hasn't.
So you'd think maybe that has cut the count by a couple, but certainly Pascoe and Hill still holding at least 2, you'd think. It's good to see crowd in attendance. A number of the players who have been knocked out of men's pairs post section in attendance here. Just saw the defending champion Ray Martin is here. Good to see him. Gary Lawson's here. Mike Kernahan here watching on.
And this too may well be a counter on that. Lance Pascoe changing his hand.
Yeah, I don't know if that's quite beaten the Merrillys' previous bowl, but obviously it's hard to know for sure from our angle.
Now, how tight is this line coming down towards the jack now? going to run into his own or get by. If he turns it over a couple of times, he might help. No, he doesn't.
Just once. So you'd think it's still at least a couple to Pascoe and Hill. So they retain the mat, and they are building a very big lead. So it's at least 2, as you can see there, the scoreboard being flicked over. Now, is it 2? It's 3, looks like. Yeah, 3 for Lance Pascoe and Jamie Hill, who now lead 21-4 after 10 of the 18 ends. And this is really starting to get away now from the two Craigs, Merrilies and Tinker, the Southlanders.
It certainly is, and we mentioned about they getting through the ends quickly. If this continues, we might be getting through the game relatively quickly as well, Brenton, which no one really wants to see, but just the way it's happening because of this. Just watch this bowl of Jamie Hills now. Caress sit on on top of the jack. Those effective bowls from bowl 1 onwards just make all the difference, and you can build your head continuously, and that's what Lance Pascoe and Jamie Hill are doing. And plus we spoke about it before, 2 big conversion shots, and they're soul destroying. You're holding the shots, and then you drop 6 shots. And you see there the bowl there, Craig Tinker's just really virtually was a bit of a weighted shot or push shot to try and get to the jack, and because all Jamie Hill will do, he'll just keep drawing.
Jamie Hill has well and truly set the table end after end for Lance Pascoe, but when Lance Pascoe has been called on, he has executed. Got them out a couple of tough situations, and they've been massive swings. Yeah, that one was the 2, they were 2 down, turned it into 2 up. Another, they were 1 down, turned it into 4 up. So huge moments in this match. If they went the other way, suddenly this game is a much different scenario. Pascoe and Hill would only be on 14, and Merrilies and Tinker would be on, 7. So yeah, it's a
big turnaround.
Massive difference in the scoreboard. And Merrilies and Tinker would be much more positive going into this final segment of this men's pairs quarter-final. They'll still believe, but time and ends are starting to run out, and bowls like that do not help. Well, Tinker really struggling that end.
Really struggling, and it's the old psychological thing. Jamie Hill's got one on. We're trailing 21-4. We can't get going, and everyone's trying their hardest. And these are good players. Don't take nothing away from it. But Jamie Hill and Lance Pascoe are completely dominating, and they're dominating in how they're actually been able to draw and play the heads and then convert when needed. They've looked very formidable.
Oh, very, very formidable. Yeah, certainly making a big statement in this quarterfinal. Still work to do, though, to see it out. And Lance Pascoe very unhappy with his first bowl as the skips change over.
Craig Merrilies knows we haven't started scoring by end 13. We're in, well, they're in deep trouble now, but they haven't bridged the gap by end 13. They're in really big troubles here. Watch this bowler Merrilies just going to drift by down to past the 2 metre mark.
Well, he wasn't far away from his target there, getting rid of that shot bowl, getting it out of the head, and would have hoped that his bowl would have stayed and become the shot. So he'll get another opportunity, another couple.
Certainly a different line with this bowl of Lance Pascoe's as it comes down towards the 2 metre mark. And it's going to sit nicely in behind the head. So any movement of the jack from Craig Merrilies will be, there's a cover bowl in there from the Hill-Pascoe combination.
See if he can make the slide adjustment necessary this time, Merrilies.
It's on a good line.
I think he's just going to slide past again, though. Yeah, he does. Almost identical to the first, wasn't it?
It is, and there's a nest of 3 bowls sitting back in that deep part of the rink there, which no doubt Craig Merrilies would be delighted if he could move the jack down there where those 3 bowls are sitting, as Lance Pascoe plays his last bowl on this, the 11th end. And is he trying to get down into that region deep down at the green. He's come back sitting right on the 2 metre mark. That's a good bowl. That's a very good bowl from Lance Pascoe.
And now all on this final bowl of the 11th end for Craig Merrilies. Needs to get something close. If he's not able to grab a shot, needs to get second.
It's on a good line. It's going to run under, though. It is.
Doesn't have the weight that the previous ones did. Has it been enough to cut out a shot? You'd think that's certainly 1 and 2. Well, from our angle, maybe it's just the 1, you know. We'll see what is added to the scoreboard, but certainly another successful end for Lance Pascoe and Jamie Hill.
Of course, what happened?
It was 2, I believe. Sorry, Kevin. Yes, it is 2 more shots to Hill and Pascoe, so 23-4. They now lead the two Craigs, Merrilies and Tinker after 11 of the 18 ends. This men's pairs quarterfinal here at Carlton, Cornwall.
Of course, what else happens, Brendan, like from Craig Merrilies' point of view, he doesn't want to be too heavy, miss the target and drop 3 or 4. He doesn't want to be short, and ideally try and get second shot, but here again, see, here's Jamie Hill just literally right on top of the jack, and it's just bowl after bowl after bowl, and there's a great exhibition of getting bowls around the head from Jamie Hill right throughout this game.
Oh, you can see why he's won multiple national titles. You can see why he's represented the Blackjacks. Would no doubt have been named in the squad for the World Championships, but decided that the commitment was a bit too much for him, so wanted a break from international play. I suppose selectors will no doubt hope they can at some stage encourage him back into the international arena.
He's only 39, and he's got to, here again, Jamie Hill changes his hand, draws right behind the jack to the 2 metre, onto the centre line. And it's interesting, you talk to the leading players, and one of the first players that they'd like to get hold of to play in their team is Jamie Hill. Gary Lawson continuously says it. Jamie Hill's my man that I really like playing off the front. Great bowl there from Craig Tinker. Sits right alongside the shot bowl.
And needed from Craig Tinker to give Craig Merrilies something to work with. Pascoe and Merrilies and discussion there around the head.
Interesting though, it's taken a long time, but we saw Craig Tinker change his hand, going that way.
Oh, he was forced to, wasn't he?
He was forced to because he was struggling.
He's probably wondering why haven't I made the switch earlier, playing this way from the clubhouse?
Because it certainly got that more natural arc. See, there's another superb bowl from the man from the Waikiwi Club.
Toucher has it taken the shot away though. Hard to tell from our camera angle who has the shot.
Well, obviously Jamie Hill thinks that we've got the shot because he's indicating to draw out to the side and behind the head.
Gary Lawson, amongst those watching on.
Take those 3 guys down there. Peter Bellis, Tony Grantham, Gary Lawson, a few national titles.
Just a few?
Between those 3 people.
Too many for me to count.
There's a few there. So
I see Gary Lawson with the record himself of national titles. So there's a chance to add to that count here after bowing out in the men's pairs. They were beaten by Nicholas Tomset and Dan Dickerson in the round of 32 at Browns Bay yesterday, but he'll be lining up in the men's singles tomorrow.
Yeah, Craig Merrilies trying to, no doubt, get some contact on the shot bowl because really Lance Pascoe and Jamie Hill don't have to score. They just got to make sure that they don't drop a number and they won't be too adventurous. And you can see the indication there from Jamie Hill to Lance Pascoe. Come down on that backhand side, stay away from the head. Doesn't like it. You can see by the body language.
Yeah, wears his heart on the sleeve, doesn't he, Lance Pascoe? You know exactly how he feels about his bowls, especially when they're not going well.
Yes,
Doesn't actually give too much away when he's executed. Pretty calm character, not quite the same level of composure as Jamie Hill, who you never know if he's had a great bowl or not. He's just the same chilled out individual every single time.
Oh, this is going to turn. This got a feather off one of the bowls, rolled that into the head, touched the jack, and there's now one down to it's the shot to Tinker and Merrilees with an indication from Jamie Hill.
So got a bit of fortune off that wide bowl, but played with the weight, was in the area, and then managed to just get a rotation off on one of those bowls of the Southland duo to push it close to the jack, and Hill indicating they are one down.
You don't see this very often. Jamie Hill calling the skip up to the head to have a look at a shot to play, and I think he's trying to move the jack possibly down to here. Of course, still plenty of room after that for Craig Murray to draw the shot, but not very often you'll see Jamie Hill, he straight away beckon to Lance Pascoe, come up here,
have a look.
What do you want to do? Do you want to go one down, or do you want to try and play another conversion shot?
Well, we've mentioned how quickly this match has been played. It's because we've had none of this. There's been no mid-green conversations.
That's the only time there's been any.
Yeah, it's been very quick, quick instructions, dished out. It's almost like bowls 3-5 as far as like there's a shot clock or something, the way these players have been playing in this contest. Maybe it might not be a bad idea to Merrilees and Tinker to try and slow it down a bit.
Correct.
Because I know Jamie Hill likes to play quick, and Lance Pascoe clearly doesn't mind it too. In the end, they decided to not go with the more adventurous shot, and if you drop a couple here, it's not the end of the world.
Well, there's really, what's the scoring options here for Craig Merrilees? Very minimal. If they touch the bowl of the charcoal bowl in front, could make shot of it. I suppose a chance of jarring one of the bowls out, but you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 bowls. They're all virtually locked on top of one another, so they're not going to move very far.
You almost think, let's just take the shot here. We're happy with that. And I think that's pretty much what they've decided. This one's not going to add to the count. And now it's up to Tinker and Hill to try and work out who, well, not just who's got shot, but how many they've won. I think it is just the one. We'll seek confirmation of that when we look at the scoreboard. But Merrilees and Tinker, the two Craigs from Southland, have won their third end of this contest. And they need to win a few more if they're to get their way back in. It is just the one. So 23-5 now. It's Pascoe and Jamie Hill leading Craig Merrilees and Craig Tinker after 12 of the 18 ends. So 2/3 of the way through this men's pairs quarter-final, and all the work to do for the Southlanders. But they've finally got the mat back. They're able to dictate the length of the end. Now, can they capitalise? Tinker is under the line with his first. Jamie Hill, we don't expect him to be under the line. He really is. Although this time he's a bit over-greened it, and too much weight as well. So a rare opening here for Craig Tinker. Wasn't quite able to execute with his first, but a chance to be the first on to the jack. And that's the 13th end.
Yeah, Jamie Hill has certainly been very commanding off the leading for Lance Pascoe, and has laid a great foundation. We see Craig Tinker has also gone through the head, and I'm sure we'll see now that adjustment from Jamie Hill. Well, that will be his endeavours, to that adjustment of line and a wee bit of weight to. And how far is that bowl going? No, there it is. He's the toucher, and just nestles in about 15, 18 inches in behind the jack. But
if it doesn't come with the first bowl, it's going to come with the second, isn't it, with Jamie Hill? That's the kind of form he's in, and the kind of consistency he's able to produce
This bowl, Craig Tinkers, is a good response from the Kiwi man. He's going to sit inside and sit on the Jamie Hill bowl, turn it over once, and that's definitely shot to the Southlanders.
We'll see what Hill does here, because every other time Tinker has drawn the shot and Hill's had the chance to reply, he has managed to beat that bowl of Craig Tinkers. Not this time, though. So, Craig Merrilies will head to the mat with the changeover. Feeling a bit more happy about life. Very rarely has he got to the mat and been holding shot.
There hasn't been many ends, Brendan, would there? You would say that the Skips changed over, that the Tinker Merrilies side were holding the shot, so this is somewhat of a rarity. The third, as we play in 13 of 18. Merrilies, sunglasses perched on the top of the head, on the forehand, playing down towards the clubhouse here. In perfect conditions, absolutely magnificent conditions down here at the Carlton Cornwall Bowling Club, headquarters, of course, for the Summerset National Championships. Of course, today around the greens of Auckland, the women's singles qualifying has been played, and there's a number of greens in the North Harbour area and in Auckland which have been used. And they'll play 4 rounds today in the women's singles qualifying, 3 out of 4 to qualify, and they will start their post-section play tomorrow.
Yeah, assuming the weather is just like it is here across the Auckland and North Harbour centres, that there'll be full day's play in the women's pairs action. Of course, yesterday we had our first title handed out, that going to Nicole Toomey of the Victoria Club in Wellington, winning the women's singles, beating Mandy Boyd of Elmwood Park in a very high quality contest. That's a good bowl from Craig Merrilies.
It's amazing, isn't it, Brenton? And it was brought to our attention here again yesterday. That's now 8 consecutive years the Victoria Bowling Club have won a national title of some discipline, of some description, and that's a great achievement by the.
It truly is incredible,
club.
Isn't it? It hasn't been the same player every year as well. It's showing the depth they have at the club. I mentioned Ray Martin earlier. He, another from the Victoria Club, won the men's pairs title with Robbie Bennett in Christchurch last year. Knocked out by Aidan Takarua and Richard Hocking in the round of 16 yesterday at Howick.
So holding 2 shots is Craig Tinker and Craig Merrilies as we come to the end of the 13 of 18 ends. And Lance Pascoe endeavoured to draw on that forehand to sit on the counting Merrilies bowls.
It's just going to be under the line, I think, or is he? No, he's right on target, and he carries it back. It's going to cut the count by 1. Still going to be Merrilies and Tinker picking up shot, but what a fine effort that was from Lance Pascoe. I thought it was under the line to start with, but right on the jack, carried the jack back, and unfortunate for Pascoe, carried the jack closer to a Merrilies bowl. And so they pick up another shot, 23-6 it is now, after 13 of the 18 ends. Merrilies Tinker will be thinking, still got a chance. But they have to start scoring more than singles on ends though now, Kevin Hickland.
Yeah, they do, and I suppose one of the promising things for them to get a good start is coming towards the park end here at Carlton Cornwall. We've seen now Craig Tinker change his hand to get on to what we've said right throughout the game. Brenton is seems to be the more consistent drawing hand. We see the first bolt of Craig Tinker's finish on the centre line, just go past the jack by about a metre. And he's seen out the Jamie Hill bolt, just inch its way towards the jack. It's going to sit jack level at a metre. You see the greens running around about 17 seconds today, and this weather stays like it is, I think we'll be up the 18 mark by the time the final is played this afternoon at around 2:30 p.m.
3 other quarterfinals taking place here at Carlton Cornwall on the rinks alongside this one. At the end of this end, I'll make my way back around the boards and bring you updates of those scores.
Jamie Hill again drawing inside, coming back towards the centre line, sitting very close towards the jack, definitely holding a couple. Again, this bowler, Craig Tinker's on that line. There's not a better line. It's going to be under the... This will be the shot itself, I would say, as it just inches its way towards the jack. Jamie Hill, he'll endeavour to just drift around that bowl on that forehand drawer. Just going to be under the line.
Yeah, so a rare bowl from Jamie Hill on that forehand side under the line.
Hasn't been very many, Brendan, has it? It's been...
No, not since he switched to the forehand side playing this way from the clubhouse, that's for sure.
So, of course, the Southland side, they must score this end, and then as it's 14 completed, and then 15, 16, 17, 18, they've got to be picking up big numbers.
Yeah, they simply must score multiples from now on, and they need to start getting some big numbers, try and emulate what Pascoe and Hill have done. They've picked up 3 threes and a couple of 4s, so when they have scored, they've scored in big ways. Only twice they scored actually just the 1. So they've been able to pick up big numbers and convert in big ways, have Pascoe and Hill, and that's why they have this commanding advantage. Again, it's Pascoe unhappy.
We knew that very quickly.
The way he was on the mat, in anguish.
But what it does mean for Lance Pascoe, though, that he may now be able to tighten that line, perhaps place another yard of weight to get down under the centre line. This bowl's going to count. This bowler, Merrilies, just
if
breaks
it holds
up to the centre line.
Yeah, I don't think they will count now. Need a piece of something. Want to slow up.
So Jamie Hill saying to Lance Pascoe, follow me on the forehand. That's exactly what Lance Pascoe is going to do.
Sheldon Bagri Howley, Craig Merrilies Gore Rams teammate, has just turned up as well, no doubt to support his Southland counterparts.
Good effort here from Lance Pascoe. Just needed a couple of rolls of weight. So the indications 2 shots to the Southland combination, trailing 23-6 as we come to the end of the 14th of 18 ends. So a change of hand here from Craig Merrilies. He's endeavouring to try and play that bowl of Lance Pascoe's out of the head. Well, I don't know what that would really have done. Might have brought just the 1 and more in, you would think. So Lance Pascoe, Jamie Hill, having a look at the head.
Crowd building up here at Carlton Cornwall. No doubt it will as the day progresses. With a semi-final to come from around 11:30. Pascoe and Hill looking like they will be in the semi-finals. It currently stands. Oh, he's going to find the hole, unfortunately. Yeah, if he managed to get on that, it would have trailed it back to those black bowls and could have turned it into 3 or 4. Now, Craig Tinker just seeing if there is a second shot or not for Southland combination. They certainly won the end again. just their 5th end. They have won. Wait and see the scoreboard tick over to see if it was more than one for the two Craigs, Merrilies and Tinker.
Ivan Marsick on the scoreboard. One of the few players actually won a national fours title.
Just the one. So 23-7 it is now. Lance Pascoe and Jamie Hill leading Craig Merrilies and Craig Tinker after 14 of the 18 ends.
What a national fours title indoors in Dunedin. We got washed out and playing with Nick Grgicevic and Alfie Dickens. There's Ivan Zonic. He won the national fours in Dunedin. Ivan Marsick, very well performed player. Played for Auckland for a long time and certainly was always a contender for New Zealand titles. He would have been a member at the Carlton Club, well, for close to 50 years, I would say.
Always had a strong influence from old Yugoslavia and Croatia.
There's always been a number here. Of course, his brother Wally. That's interesting. This is a street named after them in Glen Innes, because they've had the Marsick fisheries in Glen Innes, and they've had it operating in the Glen Innes area for 53 years. They've had the shop there, and in the new subdivision in the Glen Innes area, they've named one of the streets the Marsick Street. But we've had here at Carlton like Ivan Kostinich, Ivan Zonic, Peter Shane. There's been a multitude of the Yugoslavian flavour, which has always been prevalent, right back to the Matty Conyu days of many, many years ago. Another New Zealand title holder, so it's always had a strong influence here at the Carlton Club. Well, of course, when it was Carlton, down underneath the motorway. And of course, they've got the very prestigious and proud Tiger jacket, the yellow and black striped jacket, which is always when a Carlton player wins a New Zealand title, out comes the Blazers come out. And Nino Vlahovic, another one who won a New Zealand singles title, in fact, in Hamilton. So there's been a number of colourful players. Gary Lawson, in fact, just walking past here. Gary Lawson played out of the Carlton Club as well. So it's certainly been it's been one of the strong clubs of New Zealand, no doubt about that. And now with their move to the new complex with the Cornwall Club, they've certainly got a very, very picturesque environment here in the Green Lane area, right in behind Alexandra Park. And it's certainly still one of the strong clubs of Auckland, and a very proud club is the Carlton Cornwall Club.
Yeah, just a reminder, if you are in the Auckland area, come on down. Free entry, of course. Good food, as Merrilies goes hunting. And he knocks away the shot bowl, and another one of the Pascoe Hill bowls in attendance. So that worked out well. So still only turned it into one, though, isn't it? I think maybe just the one that they're holding here.
Lance Pascoe on the draw, needs to sit underneath that bowl. You can see on your screen as the Pascoe bowl draws to the 2 metre mark. Craig Tinker and Craig Merrilies will be trying to build the numbers on the head, putting the pressure on. The Pascoe Hill combination on a good line.
Oh, unfortunate not to get around or under that short bowl, because that looked on a very good line, as you said, Kevin. Now Lance Pascoe, hope to get something close, because last 3 ends they've failed to score on, and they've given Merrilies and Tinker some hope.
How's the weight on this?
Yeah, not enough.
Got to the centre line, but still.
Might be. Is it enough for second or third? Certainly have won the Merrilies and Tinker. Still got a bowl each to play, the two skips, but Tinker wanting to have a look at what the situation is. I couldn't see his signal, unfortunately, to his skip, Merrilies.
Well,
obviously very close for second, isn't it?
It is, and if Craig Murley's, that's an exceptionally tight line. If he was to be able to come down and get under the bowl, move the jack more than likely about 6 inches, he could well be holding. If he moved it just over the centre line, could be holding about 3 shots. It's a very difficult shot because it's very tight to that line because of the bowls which are actually in the front of the head. How far is it going to come back now towards that centre line? Going to come back right through the, and that'll count for sure. And there's that touch that we spoke about.
Wonderful bowl that is. That is a very small corridor to come through. Very, very well executed. Now, Pascoe's, what do I do now? And I think the second time in the match they've had a long think about things. You've very, very rarely seen Lance Pascoe come down and check out the head.
Well, it's interesting. You know, we did sort of indicate that shot was on, but the ratio of chance on or success on it was very, very, very small. And he played, Craig Murley's played that just perfect. Thread the needle, just came through, rested on the jack, and now it's a saving position for Lance Pascoe to
draw a second
shot. It's on a pretty good line.
The weight, urging it on. Don't think it does, you know. No, he's very unhappy with himself. So it should be 2. Now, is it more than 2? That's the question. There's Jamie Hill just having a little look at the situation. 5. Wow, huge end. That for Merrilees and Tinker, and just what they needed to get themselves really in this contest. They had only picked up 1s and 2s, but now they get the big number they needed, a 5, 23-12. It is now after 15 of the 18 ends. So just the 3 ends to play. Another 3 of those 5s and they win.
Well, it's interesting, Brendan, if you think about it, it was more than likely holding 2 and a movement of the jack by a mere couple of inches, and Craig Murray's bowled as well, turned into 5. It's
huge bowl that was by Merrilees. And Pascoe unable to reply, and that's why I was so disappointed, giving up a 5 to give Merrilees and Tinker some hope. They still need a few more of those, or 4s at least, but a chance now for the Southlanders. There's another chance for me to make my way around the boards, and I'll shortly bring an update of the other 3 men's pairs quarterfinals.
So Brendan ducks away as we play the 16th end here of 18, with Jamie Hill and Lance Pascoe leading Craig Merrilees and Craig Tinker by 23 shots to 12, 23-12, after the Southland combination on the 15th end picked up a 5 after a magnificent touch of the jack on the draw by the skip Craig Merrilees with his last bowl. And as we play this end now, it looks as though it is in fact the Hill and Pascoe combination holding shot, with the Jamie Hill bowl sitting right on the centre line, about half a metre lower the jack. Great bowl by the Southland skip as we watch Craig Tinker at the Waikiwi Club playing his last bowl, trying to play right up and push the bowl through the head. The counting bowl, which he did do, the jack went with it as well and moved it right back towards the 2 metre mark, and it would leave the Jamie Hill Pascoe side holding shot. You can see the jack there sitting right under the number, under the scoreboard, just low of the 2 metre mark. And Jamie Hill looks with this bowl, he's certainly going to make amends with this and make sure of the shot, and he has drawn just in behind the jack. With 2 shots now that the Pascoe Hillside are holding in this quarter-final. And as I say, Brenton's getting the updates from the other 3 games around the complex here at Carlton Cornwall. And at around 11:30 a.m. we'll be bringing you the semi-finals. Of course, we don't know yet which game that we'll be bringing you, but we're bringing you one of the 2 semi-finals. And then at 2:30 this afternoon, of course, we'll have the final of the Summerset men's pairs here in Auckland at the Carlton Cornwall Club. in absolutely magnificent weather conditions here today. The sun's streaming down, no wind, as we see the Craig Murley's bowl just drift by the head on that backhand side, and it is really, they have to score this end, otherwise it's literally shake hands time. So Murley's and Tinker really need to score on this head. As we see this bowl of Lance Pascoe's will sit on the Murley's bowl, and that will count as well. After that jack got moved out to the side with Craig Tinker playing with weight. Craig Murley knows now that he's got 2 bowls left to have any chance to stay alive with, as we play Ian 16. He's got weight, going to go by, not going to sit on the bowl which he wanted, certainly trying to sit on the grey bowl of Lance Pascoe. And one more bowl from, we could see, this thing's changed, Brennan, this could be
it. Yeah, obviously with 6 the most you can score on an end. If Pascoe and Hill win by a couple here on this end, then that will most likely be shake hands time. Murley's and Tinker won't be able to come up with the necessary shots to force an extra end or to win the match outright. So a lot now on this bowl from Craig Murley's.
May well be going for the kill.
Well, he's seen 1 kill so far.
So here searching for the jack.
And he's well off target. And he's not going to change the situation with that. So that might be it. Are they going to shake hand? Yes, they are. Craig Murley's extends the hand to Jamie Hill and Lance Pascoe, and that is it. Pascoe and Hill picking up a couple on the 16th end, and that has sealed it 25-12. It finishes in their favour, and while Murley's and Tinker fought and come back, it was overall, Kevin Hicklin, a comprehensive display from the composite pairing of Lance Pascoe and Jamie Hill.
Oh, it certainly was, Brenton, and we saw a classy exhibition of leading from Jamie Hill, who just set the heads up end after end after end, and then midway through the game we saw 2 or 3 conversion shots from Lance Pascoe, which turned the heads around again. And really, it was a commanding performance by both of them in this quarter-final, and I'm sure they'll walk off the rink obviously happy that they've made the semi-final, but I think they can walk away happy with how they actually, as a team, as a partnership, really, they just performed magnificently.
Yeah, it certainly did. A chance to quickly bring you up to date with the other men's pairs quarterfinals before we leave you. Just a reminder, of course, we will be back at around 11:30 with a men's pairs semi-final. So the other quarterfinals, trying to join Lance Pascoe and Jamie Hill in the semi-finals, we have John Carruthers and Mike Bradshaw of Royal Oak leading Aidan Takarua and Richard Hocking 13-12 after 11, so a very tight quarterfinal unfolding there. Likewise, between Jerry Boucher and Hamish Capet, they are leading Nicholas Tomset and Dan Dickinson 12-9 after 11 ends of that quarterfinal. And the remaining quarterfinal is also not much in it. Pat Houlihan and Howard O'Donnell leading Marshall Stoddard and Tom Taiaroa 14-11 after 12 of the 18 ends. So very much up for grabs. The winner of the Stoddart, Taiaroa, Houlihan, O'Donnell quarterfinal will play Lance Pascoe and Jamie Hill in the semi-finals. They are the first pairing through to the final 4 of the Summerset National Singles and Pairs here at Carlton Cornwall in Auckland. We'll be taking a break, and then we'll be back around 11:30 with semi-final action.